imagine this for a second. Imagine the absolute nightmare scenario for a parent. You're Surya, a British citizen living in the UK, and your two daughters, also British, go to India with your spouse, Mayura, for a vacation. You have return tickets. The date is September 2nd, 2012. That's the plan.
Except September 2nd comes and goes. And Mayura, who's in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, doesn't just refuse to come back. She files for divorce in an Indian court. And just like that, a short trip becomes this huge, high-stakes international battle.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into the landmark 2015 Supreme Court ruling Surya Vadanan v. State of Tamil Nadu. This case really defines what we call inter-parental child abduction, where one parent just decides to move the kids across a border to get away from the marriage. Our mission here is to unpack how the Supreme Court used something called the first strike principle to solve this global tug-of-war.
Right, and the speed of Surya's response was, it was everything. By November 8, 2012, so just a couple of months later, he'd already petitioned the High Court of Justice in the UK. And that UK court, they struck first. They made the children wards of the court.
What does that mean exactly, wards of the court?
It means the UK court basically seized legal control. They became the ultimate guardian, and they ordered the children's immediate return. That was the crucial first strike.
But Mayura just ignored that order.
Completely ignored it. So Surya's next move was to file a writ of habeas corpus in the Madras High Court.
And that's a formal demand to produce the children, right? Claiming they're being held illegally.
Exactly. But here's the first huge challenge he faced. The Madras High Court dismissed his claim.
Dismissed it? On what grounds?
Well, their thinking was that since the kids were with their mother, a natural guardian, the custody couldn't technically be called illegal or unlawful.
Wow. So that setback is what pushes it all the way to the Supreme Court.
It does. It lands in front of Justice Madan B. Lokur with this massive conflict at its core.
Which is this paradox, right? How do you balance respecting a foreign court's order when the kids are physically here in India and the mother is arguing for the welfare of the child, saying they're happy and settled?
That's the puzzle. And this is where the Supreme Court's reasoning was, frankly, brilliant. Justice Lokur found a way to actually merge those two ideas. They had three key findings.
Okay, let's connect the dots for everyone.
First, they used something called the most intimate contact doctrine. The Supreme Court basically said the UK court was better equipped to decide this. Why? Because the children were British citizens, they were born there, went to school there, their whole lives were there. India didn't have that intimate contact.
Okay, so the UK is the right court, but how do you enforce that from India?
That brings us to the second point, which is so important. Comity is welfare. Comity just means respecting the authority of a foreign court. And the Supreme Court ruled that letting parents engage in forum shopping, picking and choosing a court system they think will be friendlier, is fundamentally bad for the child's welfare in the long run.
It sets a bad precedent.
A terrible one. So respecting the proper jurisdiction actually protects children. And then came the knockout blow, the first strike principle.
Because the UK court acted first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Since the UK court had already passed a varied effective order before any Indian court had passed a substantial one, the Indian Supreme Court chose self-restraint. They basically said, the UK court got there first, they're the proper authority, and we will yield.
And what about the kids having settled in?
Well, they hadn't. Not really. They'd only been in India for a short time when the legal fight started, so they hadn't taken root.
Right.
This allowed the court to use a summary inquiry, like a quick check, instead of a full drawn-out custody hearing in India. They decided that was enough to justify sending them back.
So the verdict was clear. The Supreme Court ordered the mother to return the children to the UK. But, and this is so important for you to understand, the Supreme Court did not give custody to the father, to Surya.
No, not at all. They acted like a neutral umpire. Their job was just to send the children back to the appropriate court, the UK High Court, so that court could then have the actual custody battle.
So the takeaway here for any parent or any lawyer listening is just incredibly stark.
It is. In these cases, jurisdiction is all about speed. Just taking your kids across a border to escape a marriage can be, and likely will be, legally defined as abduction. Securing that first strike order in the place the kids usually live is, without a doubt, your highest priority. Foreign judgments carry immense weight.
The Surya Vadanan case really affirmed that in our globalized world, the rule of law means you can't just run from your legal duties by hopping on a plane. It really makes you think, though, what if Mayura had waited 5 years? If the daughters were fluent in a new language, totally enrolled in local schools, and really were rooted in Coimbatore, would the outcome have been different? Something to mull over.